Hey folks, welcome. Welcome to the live stream week 2 live Q&A session. Thanks for joining. So I'm hoping today to go over, I'd like to go over some questions that viewers have submitted, just some questions and some comments, and then go over week 2 expectations and what we're looking for in week 2, what we can look forward to for the rest of the 8 weeks as well, just a little bit of a recap. But I think we'll start off with a recap. For week 1, it was more about getting organized and really just trying to get your mind wrapped around what you're about to endeavor. Sometimes looking at an 8-week program of really focusing and really staying on track can take a lot of energy. It can take a lot of bandwidth to focus for that long. So what I'm providing is just a lot of tips and techniques to help that focus be easier, to help streamline the process. So welcome folks if you're joining live, and the live show is on the YouTube channel if you want to join in the future, if you're listening on the podcast. So you can definitely join on Your Inspired Life on YouTube and participate in the live stream. But feel free to drop any comments or say hi as you join in. So one of the questions I wanted to go over was submitted from Ron, and he had wanted to know if I had any suggestions for foods to avoid at all costs. Foods to avoid at all costs, and I kind of really stay back from really making hard line recommendations like that. Hi, Emily, Sarah. Hi, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. So I feel like I like to, I'm pretty broad and general in my recommendations. I'm not super specific, but for foods to really avoid, I mostly put them into categories like, high sugar processed foods, or high sugar or high processed salty or oily foods. So it's I don't know. I have a hard time saying absolutely no, never eat a Twinkie ever again, right? Because part of life is also about enjoying what you eat. So if you have a favorite junk food and that's something that you want to have from time to time, I think it's okay. But I guess if we put it in the context of these 8 weeks, if there's foods to 100% avoid, I would really avoid anything that's a processed, not natural food that's made in a factory that doesn't really grow out of the ground, that you have to open up cellophane, maybe like those package of cheese crackers that are cheese and peanut butter. You know what I'm talking about? Those nabs, or that's what you call them in the South. The Lance crackers, those kind of things. There's nothing nutritive about that, right? It's just something that you're putting in your body, and it's not giving you any benefit. Probably giving you more harm than benefit, giving you more salt than what you need. But if you are someone that's hiking a mountaintop, you need those calories. So at the basic level, it has some nutritive value as far as calories are concerned. So that's where I'm going, where if you can avoid at all costs in 8 weeks, those really processed foods that have nothing to give you except calories. In the worst case scenario, it's maybe better than dying of starvation, but most of us aren't at risk for that. Okay, we're trying to give ourselves more nutrition. So that maybe that's the hard line as far as what to avoid at all costs, is those packaged processed foods. And in there is soda. I think that's another one there's just no real nutritional value in those kinds of beverages, because there's no nutrients in it. Maybe there's a little bit of phosphorus, but there's not really much that's helping your health. So I would avoid those as well. Juice is another one that's high sugar, and it's pretty refined, and it has some nutrition value, but I'm not putting it on the list of absolute no's. I think starting with the most processed foods is probably the best place to start. So hopefully I answered your question somewhat, Ron. I know there's people usually like a little bit more of a yes and a no list, but really what it comes down to is that every person has a different set. Everybody has different nutritional needs. Everybody has different preferences. Some people a certain food is a trigger food and it leads them to eat a lot of it. And for another person, it's not a problem. So candy, put that in the category. Is candy absolute yes food or no food? For some people, it can be a tool that helps them not overeat a large dessert, and it gives them a little bit of sweetness at the end of a meal. And that can be a functional tool, and there's maybe nothing wrong with that. But for another person, a little bit of candy turns into a half a pound of candy, which turns into a poor eating habit, or just taking in a lot more than what they planned on. So if you can see what I'm getting at, it's not a hard line for everybody. So it would have to be more of a personalized discussion. Okay, so I wanted to go over a little bit of a recap. I'm starting on a recap about last week and getting organized, and curious if you guys put any types of systems into place. I mentioned a few systems, like trying to start your morning with like a little bit of a routine to kind of get organized, maybe write a list or write up your calendar, or maybe even plan out a little beyond the day. Maybe you're looking at the week, so you can kind of see what's going to be involved for the rest of your week. If I know I'm making dinner 3 nights this week, then that means I have to have my ingredients, and that also means I have to pull things out of the freezer if it's frozen, and have everything be able to be ready when I need it. So thinking, like a chess game, you're thinking 10 steps in advance sometimes. And that takes a lot of practice to make that comfortable, to be thinking that far ahead. Sometimes we're not thinking that far ahead. What are some other recaps from last week? Just making a lot of use of your time in the kitchen. So if you are in your kitchen and you're making something, why not do something else at the same time while you're in there? Can you utilize 5 more minutes to chop up and prep a bunch of vegetables? This is something I did last night. It was about 4:00. It was a Sunday, like, what are you doing? It's not really time for dinner, time to make dinner. But I thought, you know what? I have a lot of broccoli and asparagus in the fridge right now. And I would love to do that parboil technique where you blanch your vegetables. And so now it's all right. I could eat them fresh out of the fridge, or I could throw them in a salad, or I could heat them up again and add them to another meal. But all of that's all prepped right now. And it's a lot faster. It's in a quicker form to consume than it was in its raw state in the fridge. And in the raw state in the fridge, it was also decomposing, right? So not that it was rotten yet, but it was on its way to that point if I didn't cook it really quickly. So I've kind of extended the lifespan. And the other thing that partially cooking a vegetable does is that it starts to release more nutrients. So it breaks down the fiber wall, and you have access to more nutrients like vitamin C and some other vitamins. So it makes it easier to digest those. So you're absorbing a little bit more. Recommendation for vegetables, I've heard 50% raw and 50% cooked in your typical day-to-day. So sometimes people feel like they digest cooked vegetables easier, and some people like the benefits of the raw vegetables because you get all the extra fiber, and it's super filling, and it gives you it helps feed your gut bacteria in a healthy way. And Emily Sarah has a comment. She is enjoying the morning and the evening routines, finding that to be really helpful, attempting to eat less after 7 p.m. And that's interesting because it seems like when she's really the hungriest is in the evening. So she's wondering about adding more calories to lunch. Yeah, I absolutely think could be a strategy worth trying, because a lot of people call it front loading your calories, where you're trying to shift the bulk of your calories to the beginning of the day, the earlier in the day, so it's easier to eat a little bit lighter in the evening. If you're really cutting back on your morning and your lunchtime, and this is easy to do. Sometimes by the time you get to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, you're like, oh, I've only had 500 calories today. It's not very many. And you can see why the other half of your day, your hunger might be a little bit more pronounced. So I think it's definitely worth experimenting to add a little bit more to lunch. Another recommendation I give to clients is consider the idea of splitting lunch into 2, where you've got your lunchtime meal at noon and then another one at 3 o'clock, that either it's half of the original lunch or another like mini meal. It's maybe a little bit more than like a light snack, but having lunch split into 2. So I used to do this when I worked at an office, and I would make a giant salad bar salad. I mean, it was humongous. And I would put, it sounds gross, but it was canned sardines or fish or whatever you want. But it was very filling. I could never eat the full salad all at once. So I would save the other half of it and eat it later in the afternoon instead of like some kind of packaged snack. I found that to be super filling, and I wasn't even hungry on my drive home from work. So I'd get home at like 6 o'clock or later, and the hunger wasn't there because all that fiber from the salad. So my point on that is consider the idea of taking lunch and splitting it into 2 mini meals. And the reason why I'm saying split it is because it simplifies. Instead of having to make an additional snack, you could just have one meal be really large, and if you can't finish it later in the afternoon and see if that helps. Yeah. So splitting lunch, it's just some folks have expressed reservations about having to come when they're thinking about having a meal and a snack and a meal and a snack, how much preparation that is and how much effort that is to come up with, I need to have 3 snacks a day and 3 meals a day, and that's so much food preparation. I'm all in support of simplifying that into just having the same thing again, having the same breakfast. This was a strategy I didn't mention this week, maybe because I forgot, but one strategy for a system to simplify things is to do repeats. Repeat your breakfast, repeat and maybe I did say this in a roundabout way, was to really keep your routine pretty simple at the beginning, for like the first few weeks, really have a lot of structure and not a lot of variety to help with training your brain. So I do this and everybody's different, right? So this is just my preference, but I prefer to just have oatmeal with a little bit of peanut butter for breakfast every morning. That's what I prefer. It's easy. It's filling. It's tasty enough. Like, it doesn't have to be the most tastiest thing in the world. It's fast. So that simplifies things for me. I'm not wondering every day, what should I have for breakfast? What should I have for breakfast? It's not a burden because it's something that works and something I can repeat when it doesn't get boring. I'll mix it up on the weekends. So maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, I'll have something different just to give that variety. But for me, it's a little bit of a relief to repeat something. And I don't think there's anything wrong with repeating a meal if it simplifies things for you. If you know it's already nutritious and satisfying enough, then I feel like there's, people are like, well, aren't you supposed to have different things all day long? And yeah, we do encourage a variety to get all of your nutrition, to have a variety in your diet. But for the sake of simplification and repetition, I think it's fine to repeat meals. And there was something else I was going to say about that. For systems, saving time in the kitchen by doing more than one thing at once. So here's another idea of a system is when you're preparing, say you're using your oven, why not use that time to also throw in a couple of baked potatoes so you can bake them. Even if you're not having the dinner meal, that could be something that's for tomorrow's meal, but now you don't have to worry about baking them. You can just reheat them. So there's those kind of things, I guess. If you've got stuff that you're looking around, and I'm seeing a spaghetti squash that I bought, it's in the background. I'm like, oh, I see that spaghetti squash. That's been on the counter for at least going on 2 weeks now. I should cook that. So that's kind of guiding me towards what my dinner choice is going to be tonight. And we haven't had anything tomato-based in a while. So I'm like, okay, let me do a marinara, spaghetti squash marinara. Maybe I'll get some ground turkey in there as well. You don't have to do ground turkey, but so that sometimes that's how I get guided on adding variety. Is I'll look around and, in a practical way, see what needs to be used up before it goes bad. So that can be another guide as far as what to eat or how to come up with a system for your cooking. Is the minimalist or the waste-free method would be to see what needs to be used up before it goes bad. So it's not like, what do I feel like having tonight, or what am I craving tonight? It's a utilitarian approach about, okay, I need to use this up, so that's what we're going to have tonight. See what I mean? Now this weekend I had a craving for egg salad. And so that kind of was how I decided on a lunch meal. But I was like, oh, I haven't had that in 4 months. I just really craving egg salad. So I, fixed that. So I think you be guided by cravings or guided by utilitarianism or just guided by habit. So guided by that repetition. I definitely recommend that as your primary, is just kind of repeat until it gets really comfortable, where you really feel like it's down pat and it's not a strain or a lot of effort, because we're trying to reduce effort. We're trying to reduce that feeling of effort. That's why people give up on programs, or they might make it through the program, but they give up on the maintenance because the maintenance feels like so much work. So that's what we're trying to do. Reduce resistance to maintenance, reduce and keep the momentum going. So that's why for week 2, I was really excited about promoting positivity and just training your brain to feel really good about your habits and about keeping all this going. So I've got a book here. I did a book club on this a long time ago, maybe 4 years ago. This is called The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte. And she talks about the reason why we want things isn't because we want the thing, is that we want to feel the way the thing makes us feel. Like, I want a new car. Well, okay, but there's a reason why you have that. Is it just the new car that you want? Or is it something new? There's a feeling that comes with wanting a thing. I want a new job, or I want a new relationship. It brings a feeling that you're trying to get into your life that you feel like you don't have, that you feel like this thing is going to bring you. And I'll just, the inner cover, inner cover of the book has a list of all of these different kinds of feelings, like, let's see, and they're alphabetical. So feeling accomplishment, feeling open-hearted, feeling blessed, feeling, I'm reading all these backwards, feeling rooted, feeling excellence. So there's a feeling, if we can connect to activities or ways to generate these kinds of feelings, then that can help us feel good in the moment, and it can make it easier to overcome some of the effort that staying with these kinds of focused programs can cause. They can cause a little bit of, oh, I'm tired of doing this, or I'm tired of keeping track of this, or I'm tired of preparing this. But I think you'll find that, and now I'm going to go into more detail about this topic in other videos this week. So I'll talk more in detail about it after I have a chance to go think through my thoughts about it. This book and the book Positivity, I think I mentioned that one in a previous episode as well. Positivity, hers was more simplified. This has a whole variety of different kinds of desires that we want to feel, things that we want, ways that we want to feel. The positivity one was mostly focused on stuff like feeling inspired, feeling serenity, feeling humor, and feeling amused, feeling, they're all like just different types of positive feelings, because we're not always able to just latch on to happiness at a moment's notice. Sometimes that feeling is kind of far away, especially when you wake up frustrated, or you kind of are in a cranky mood, or something in your environment's not going very well, and it's hard to be happy every minute. So there's other ways to gravitate towards different feelings that will increase feelings of positivity. It doesn't always have to be about being happy. Maybe the easiest thing to get to is humor. Maybe that's the next logical step. Like, I guess I could just entertain myself and be amused, and that's the best I can do in this moment. So that's where I would go with trying to always find ways, especially if you feel like you're getting bogged down, figuring out ways to boost yourself up. And it's easiest to do this in the morning time to kind of do a check-in and see what you need. And Emily Sarah mentions that she did a fire starter session in business fire starter session in 2009. Oh, it's so neat. A small world. So I have that book too. That's a real motivator book, right? The fire starter book. So so I'll go into more detail this week about how to go about generating those positive feelings, like actions that you can take. There's even another book on, I think it was on happiness. These are all books that I read from when I was in coaching school, and I was really studying a lot of stuff about human motivation and psychology and that type of thing. So it's all up here. It's all in my brain, but I'm going to lay it all out for you guys this week. But so that would be my best next step. Is the real purpose of week number 2 is to stay, keep the momentum going in order to feel motivated to keep at it, right? I know we're only entering week 2, so it hasn't been a lot of time to kind of get bogged down and get really weary of the program or weary of doing a lot of changes. But it can be the week where doubts start to creep in, and it can be the time where you're, maybe not feeling some of the novelties wearing off because you've made it through a really intensive week of focus, and so now you're like, oh gosh, a little bit of that wears off, and you're kind of like, oh, I don't have enough time under my belt to be automatic yet, but still kind of trudging along with my focus. So finding other ways to generate positive feelings can help with momentum. So that's my bottom line for today. Is we're going to talk about that this week more, is how we're going to generate more positive feelings. So one idea is for you guys to think about what are the positive feelings that resonate the best for you. So what feelings do you really love feeling? I like feeling accomplishment. So if I'm waking up in a cranky mood, I know that one way to quickly feel better is to feel accomplished. I might do a quick load of laundry to just cross off something off my list to be like, at least I did that today, right? Like I might be looking at a foot of snow outside because I live over 9,000 feet and I want it to be spring, but we just got all the snow, and it's frustrating feeling to think it almost feels like it's still winter, but not letting that crowd my day. I don't want that to set the tone. I'm like, okay, how can I get the next level up? Like I'm not going to go straight to happiness. So the next level up might be, okay, try my workouts. Is my routine going to set my tone? Am I going to be really focused and in the moment with that? Or can I do a task and cross that off my list? And that will, for me, that increases my feeling of accomplishment. So that already kind of boosts me up. Like that's a feeling a core desired feeling that I like to have in my life, is feeling accomplished. Like, okay, I did that today. What's another example? So feeling energized, that usually is pretty natural for me, but I might encourage that with a little bit of a physical workout. It's like that kind of gets my blood flowing, challenges me, and then afterwards usually feel pretty energized. So if I can connect activities to generate these feelings, then I can have a lot more of these feelings, and that carries a lot of momentum to continue on my day or not get bogged down in the cranky feelings of undesirable weather, or and name your cranky situation. There's a million of them. So anyways, guys, I hope that's helpful to kind of get your wheels spinning and thinking about how you can, well, first of all, identifying what are the core feelings that you enjoy having. I think you could probably look on Amazon under Desire Map. I'll put a link to it on the video description once it posts, but there's 100 words here. So just the feelings that you really enjoy, like feeling abundant, feeling centered, feeling clarity, feeling focused, feeling generous. So what are those feelings that you really like to feel and maybe they're missing? And then what activities can help you generate those feelings? So that's a real crash course in what this book is about. It's a whole book and a whole process. Maybe this is some other course that I do later this year, but it's a whole process about how you can identify those feelings and set your life around cultivating them on a daily basis. And that can help you stay buoyant and positive going forward during a challenging time. Not that the 8-week accountability program is a major challenge, but it can be challenging to constantly focus and apply yourself, in a way, doing stuff that maybe isn't a part of your easy day-to-day habits. So, all right. So I'm trying to think, is there any other questions, folks? Any other comments so far about how the program's working for you, or just how you're feeling at this point? I know we're the beginning of week 2, so you just had a chance maybe to get organized and get things lined up. I'm looking forward to working out some more details for you guys about the core desired feelings and generating positivity. I'll put a link to the positivity book as well. That one has a quiz that you can take online, and you can identify what your positivity ratio is and feel like that'll probably tell you if it's definitely worth improving upon. So, guys, it sounds good. All right. Thanks, Emily, Sarah. And we'll catch you, tomorrow. I'll be posting tomorrow another episode, and we will have a great week together. Okay. I hope things go well, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.